Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, awe-inspiring visions of the end times from the book of Revelation, the Great White Throne Judgment.
So let's jump right in. The Apostle John is describing this moment of ultimate reckoning, a vision so overwhelming that the very fabric of the cosmos, the earth, the heavens, it all just seems to dissolve in the presence of the one on the throne.
Now, you might think this is just some dramatic, poetic language, right? But the source material explains it's way more than that. It actually symbolizes the end of our world's current state of existence. It's meant to show us the awesome, all-consuming glory of God, a presence so powerful the entire physical creation just vanishes.
So, what's the point of this throne? What's its purpose? Well, according to our sources, this is it. This is the final judgment for everyone who has ever lived but didn't take part in what some scriptures call the first resurrection, which is for the righteous. This is the final accounting for everybody else.
So this idea of heaven and earth literally fleeing, it's all about emphasizing just how massive this moment is. The text suggests it's a way to visualize the sheer magnitude of God's presence, a glory so pure and intense that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand before it unchanged.
Okay, so the stage is set, and now John sees who's actually being judged and what evidence is being used. This is where things get really interesting, kind of like a celestial courtroom drama is about to unfold.
So imagine this. Everyone who wasn't in that first resurrection is now standing before God. The scripture says the dead, small and great. It doesn't matter who you were on earth. Your status means nothing here. But our sources point out that there are a few distinct groups among this huge crowd.
Okay, so drawing from Latter-day Saint scripture, our sources give a really specific interpretation here. It breaks these groups down. The first are from what's called spirit prison, and they're judged for a possible inheritance in what's called a terrestrial kingdom of glory. The second group comes from hell, and after their judgment, they might inherit a telestial kingdom. It's really important to remember, though, that these specific terms and ideas come from this particular theological framework.
Okay, this is a super interesting detail. You've got two different types of records here. Notice the books, plural. The source explains those are the records of our lives kept right here on earth. But then there's the book of life, singular. That's different. That's the one kept in heaven.
And just when you think you've got it, there's another layer. This is wild. Beyond any book written down somewhere, the source points to this idea of an internal record, basically our own memory and conscience, which, on that day, will bear a perfect witness for or against us. No hiding from that.
Okay, so we have the people being judged, we have the evidence. So what's the standard? How is everyone judged? Well, it all comes down to a single, consistent principle for everyone.
This is the absolute core of the whole vision. The judgment isn't about who was better than who. It's totally personal. Like the slide says, it's based entirely on what you did, the actions you took, and even the intent behind those actions when you were alive.
And this idea of personal accountability? It's absolute. It applies to everyone. According to this interpretation, even people who have suffered in what's called hell are brought out for this judgment. The idea is that they, too, can receive a final placement in the kingdom of glory, all based on the works they were able to do. No one gets a pass on this final review.
All right, so let's get to the final consequences. After the judgment is over, what's next? What are the outcomes?
Now, when the passage says death and hell were cast into the lake of fire, you got to understand the source says this is symbolic. It's not that hell is being punished, it's that its job is done. After this final judgment, there's just no need for a temporary place for spirits or for punishment anymore.
So, what about this second death? Well, it's the ultimate, irreversible consequence. It's a final separation from God. But, and this is a huge but, the source is super clear that this does not apply to most people standing at this judgment. It's reserved for a very specific group.
The source, pulling from a passage in the Doctrine and Covenants, gets really specific here. And if you look at the list, it's not about making everyday mistakes. We're talking about a complete, eyes-wide-open rejection of God after you've already received a full knowledge of Him. It's essentially choosing to place yourself completely outside the reach of Christ's atonement.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? The whole idea of a book of life and books of our works is really a powerful message for us right now. It means that everything we do matters. Our choices, our actions, our kindnesses. It's all being recorded, and it all has eternal weight. And that really leaves us with something to chew on, doesn't it? This concept of a perfect, permanent record, it's not just some scary story about the future.
It transforms the idea of accountability from something abstract into a daily, living reality. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining the Explainer.